Not every British car from the 1950s became a legend. Some became warnings. Britain in the 1950s was rebuilding, rationing behind them, ambition ahead of them. Manufacturers raced to give ordinary families their first taste of motoring. Most tried honestly, most tried hard, but trying isn't the same as succeeding. Some of these cars arrived with genuine promise and quietly disappointed everyone who bought one. Some looked wonderful in the showroom and fell short on the road. Some simply never found their audience, no matter how hard their makers tried. Today, we count down 10 British cars that developed reputations nobody wanted, not because they were badly intentioned, because something, somewhere, went wrong. Let us begin. Number 10. The Standard Vanguard Phase I, 1948 to 1953, Standard Motor Company. The Vanguard arrived with genuine ambition. Standard wanted a single model that could serve farmers, families, and export markets simultaneously. A 2.1-litre engine, bulbous American-influenced styling, a genuinely capable chassis underneath. It should have worked, but the styling aged more quickly than Standard had hoped. Customers who wanted something modern found themselves driving a car that within a few years felt like it belonged to an earlier decade. Sales in Britain were respectable. The Vanguard wasn't a failure. It was simply a car that promised everything to everyone and ended up feeling like it belonged to no one in particular. Number 9. The Jowett Javelin, 1947 to 1954. Jowett cars. On paper, the Javelin was remarkable. A flat-4 engine, independent suspension, genuinely advanced aerodynamics for its era. Motoring journalists praised it enthusiastically. Then owners started driving them. The flat-4 configuration presented cooling challenges that required careful attention, and some owners experienced bearing issues that proved costly to resolve. Here's what made it worse. Jowett was a small company with limited resources, and warranty claims strained them further. By 1954, the company that built one of Britain's most innovative small cars had collapsed entirely. The Javelin story isn't really about engineering. It's about how brilliant ideas, without the resources to fully support them, can bring down everything built around them. Number 8. The Austin A40 Somerset, from 1952 to 1954, Austin Motor Company. The Somerset looked charming enough. Rounded, friendly styling, a 1.2-litre engine that offered modest but adequate performance. Families bought it in reasonable numbers, but underneath that friendly exterior sat a chassis largely unchanged from its predecessor, a design already considered dated by 1952. The ride was soft to the point of vagueness. Cornering required genuine commitment from the driver and rewarded very little. By the time newer, more modern competitors arrived on the market, the Somerset's underpinnings simply couldn't keep pace. It was remembered quietly as a car people were content with, rather than a car people were excited by. Number 7. The Hillman Minx Phase VIII, 1956 to 1957, Roots Group. The Minx name had genuine respect since the 1930s. The Phase VIII very nearly undid all of it. The redesigned bodywork divided opinion sharply, and the finished result pleased fewer buyers than Roots had anticipated. Underneath, the chassis, carried over with only modest revision, struggled to match the ambitions of the new body sitting on top of it. Some owners reported the car feeling less settled on rougher surfaces than earlier Minx models. The Phase VIII's production run proved notably brief compared to other versions of the Minx. Whatever the precise cause, it remains one of the shorter-lived chapters in the Minx's long history. Number 6. The Riley Pathfinder, 1953 to 1957. This one hurts a little more than the others because the Pathfinder should have worked. A 2.5-litre engine derived from genuine racing heritage, a beautifully finished walnut dashboard, the kind of car built for people who understood what quality actually meant. But Riley, by this point, was operating under BMC ownership, sharing components, sharing budgets, sharing priorities that weren't entirely its own. The rear suspension arrangement attracted criticism, particularly for the handling characteristics it could produce in demanding conditions. Sales never matched the car's genuine quality. The Pathfinder became, for many, a reminder of what Riley used to represent, rather than proof of what it still could. 5. The Ford Zephyr Mark I, 1950 to 1956. The Zephyr sold well, that much is true, but well isn't the same as loved. A 2.3-litre six-cylinder engine offered genuine performance for the price. The styling, American-influenced, confident, distinctive, turned heads when new. The problem revealed itself gradually. The column gear change, common to many cars of the era, drew particular criticism from Zephyr owners who found it less precise than they had hoped. Rust was a recurring concern on older examples. The Zephyr became a car people bought readily and one that many quietly wished had been engineered with a little more care in a few key places. Number 4. The Wolseley 444. The 444 wore genuine elegance, leather seating, a handsome walnut dashboard, the kind of presentation that suggested Wolseley understood exactly what buyers wanted. Underneath, a 1.25-litre engine that struggled to match the car's visual ambitions. Period road tests noted the performance as modest, particularly when overtaking or climbing gradients with a full load of passengers. Wolseley's own sales literature described it generously as refined. Reviewers, more directly, described it as underpowered. The 444 looked like it belonged in a much faster car and never quite settled the question of why it wasn't one. Number 3. The Vauxhall Wyvern, 1948 to 1957, Vauxhall Motors. The Wyvern arrived promising modern engineering, unitary construction, a 1.5-litre engine, genuinely competitive performance figures for its class. The British climate proved unforgiving to its steel bodywork. Rust affected the structure in ways that went beyond surface panels, reaching sections of the body that played a genuine role in overall rigidity. Within a few winters, corrosion had become a recognized concern among owners and dealers alike. Owners who loved the car's driving characteristics found themselves fighting a battle against corrosion that the car ultimately was never fully able to win. The Wyvern's reputation didn't collapse from bad engineering, it collapsed slowly and predictably from bad chemistry. Number 2. The Armstrong Siddeley Sapphire 346, 1953 to 1958. Armstrong Siddeley. This one is genuinely complicated because the Sapphire was, in most respects, an excellent car. Beautiful interior, smooth six-cylinder engine, refinement most competitors couldn't match. The complication was cost, not simply of purchase, but of long-term ownership. As a low-volume, specialist car, the Sapphire relied on a smaller network of parts and expertise than larger manufacturers could offer. Owners who valued the car's engineering sometimes found that keeping it running required more patience and more searching than they had expected. The Sapphire wasn't a bad car. It was a car whose ambitions occasionally outpaced the infrastructure built to support it, and that, in its own way, proved a genuine challenge for those who owned one. Number 1. The Standard Pennant, 1957 to to 1960. And here we are, number 1. Because nothing on this list disappointed quite like the Pennant. Standard took their basic Standard 8 and added genuine upgrades, chrome trim, two-tone paintwork, additional brightwork, and premium badging, then priced it accordingly as a step above the entry-level model. The engine, however, remained largely unchanged. The suspension carried over with little revision. The Pennant looked substantially more special than the mechanical changes underneath genuinely justified. Buyers who expected a meaningfully different driving experience from the standard car often found the improvements were, for the most part, cosmetic. In an era when British families were carefully weighing every pound they spent, a car that looked like more than it was left a mark that lingered. 10 cars, 10 ways to fall short. Some fell short through ambitious engineering that outpaced their resources. Some through corrosion no one had fully anticipated. Some, like the Pennant, through a gap between appearance and substance that buyers noticed too late. But every one of them tells us something real about 1950s Britain, a country rebuilding itself, manufacturers racing to meet enormous demand, and ordinary families trusting British badges with money they had carefully saved. Most of the time, that trust was rewarded. Sometimes it wasn't. These 10 cars are the other side of a golden decade, proof that even Britain's most ambitious era produced its share of disappointments. Did your family ever own one of these? Tell us which one in the comments. We read every single story. Subscribe, because there is plenty more history worth remembering.